This area has been a gathering place for millennia. These lands here within the boundaries of Vancouver have long been chosen by people to recreate and to live. Many of the initial expeditions also explored this area and documented it, from the Broughton expedition of Captain Vancouver that lends its name here to this community, through Lewis and Clark, through those of the Hudson's Bay Company and Northwest Company fur trade, all the way through the U.S. Army era. This has been really looked upon as a key hub in the community and in the region.
Vancouver is proud of its past and has partnered to preserve it. This can be seen at Fort Vancouver, Officers Row, Pearson Field, and most recently, the Army Barracks. The pioneering spirit that shaped Vancouver is recognized by a statue at the north entrance to Esther Short Park, named after a settler that arrived at Fort Vancouver in 1845.
They were from Pennsylvania, she and her husband Amos. And they started west looking for their fortune. They finally landed here with 10 of them. 10 children. They hadn't found their fortune. They got here and they settled in. They built a cabin, about where the railroad bridge is today. The Hudson's Bay Company did their best to get rid of the Shorts. They burned the cabin. They put Esther and the kids on a raft and set them afloat on the river. That wasn't that bad because you got 22 pairs of hands paddling. You make it to shore pretty quickly. Whatever they did, Esther and Amos kept coming back. When Esther passed away, she died young. She died at just about 60. And in her will, she left this part of her land claim to be a town plaza forever. She left the waterfront portion of her land to the city to be a public wharf forever. That was the beginning of the Port of Vancouver.
This plaza, named Esther Short Park, is the oldest public square in the Pacific Northwest. 2 years later, in 1857, the city of Vancouver would incorporate.
Esther had a vision for this city, and she kind of based it, I think, on her Pennsylvania upbringing with the town plaza in the middle. And very often the plan was to have all of the government buildings surrounding the park as they do in the east. And we're now beginning to see that happen here. 175 years later, we're seeing City Hall right on Esther Short Park, which was her idea back when she wrote out her will.
Before Esther's vision would materialize, the land around Esther Short Park became a brewery that grew and later dwindled.
Finally, it was bought by a fellow who went around buying and closing breweries and then abandoned them. They gutted the inside, sent everything to China, and it became a derelict nuisance. That went on for years. More than 10 years it stood empty. This was a dark and dismal place. It truly was. The police called it Man Down Park because it was so awful. And of course the famous thing when the bum hit the mayor with a shopping cart and said, "Get out of my park," and that started the whole renewal of Esther Short Park.
With no takers to redevelop the area, the city took action by purchasing the property and gathering community leaders and concerned citizens to create a revitalization plan known as the Vancouver City Centre Vision.
Physically, what we were looking for is a redevelopment, if you will, a renaissance of downtown with a more dense development, but with the park as the centerpiece. And what that did is that set up where development was supposed to occur, what type of development would be there, and set parameters for how much residential, commercial, and office space would be allowed in the general area.
With the community vision of a first-class public plaza in the heart of downtown Vancouver, the city and private donors invested in Esther Short Park. In time, the park was surrounded by redevelopment and year-round uses, with housing complexes like Esther Short Commons and Heritage Place, farmers market and outdoor concerts, the Vancouver Convention Center and Hotel, and a mixed-use development of office, retail, and residential space at the Vancouver Centre. And today, the new Vancouver City Hall opened right across the street from the city's Central Park, just like Esther Short envisioned.